Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another night of Bible basketball. Come on in the room and let's get started with another night of Bible basketball. We're going to give a few minutes for our players to come on out of the dressing room and come on out on the court. Come on, let's shoot around with the Word of God from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Let's shoot around and let's learn. Let's increase our knowledge and Bible skills that we may move forward to make this a better world. Good evening to my brother Noah. God bless you this evening. Good evening, Sister Alice Commons. God bless you this evening, my sister. God bless you. Thank you so much. Good evening to you all. We're going to give a few more minutes for our other players to come on out of the dressing room and come on out on the floor. And then we're going to get started with our Bible basketball. This is the National Bible Basketball Association, and we will be shooting around with the Word of God, increasing our biblical skill level. Good evening to my beautiful wife. Our First Lady is with us this evening. God bless you, First Lady. All right, they're coming on out of the dressing room, so we're going to give them a few minutes as they make their way out of the dressing room and begin to warm up on the court. We're in for an exciting night here in Bible basketball. We're in for an exciting night as we shoot around with the Word of God, increase, and sometimes we even find out things about ourselves we didn't know about the Word of God. Had forgot all about it, and all of a sudden, this wakes up our skill levels. So we're going to give another minute for them to come on out of the dressing room. We'd like to thank you all for being with us this evening for another night of Bible basketball. Hopefully everybody is doing all right as we get ready to get started. And this evening we're going to be looking at Jesus. So all our questions going to be dealing with Jesus' ministry. And so we're going to be looking at Jesus' ministry this evening. And so we're going to polish up on our skills concerning Jesus this evening. All our questions going to be surrounding the ministry of Jesus. All right. So we're going to get ready to get started here. Get ready to head on down the court and shoot around with the Word of God. All right, so let's get ready to bring up our questions this evening. Let's get ready to bring up our questions. All right, so here comes our questions, and here we go with another night of Bible basketball. And our first question this evening, let's begin. It says, in the parable of the lost sheep, how many sheep did the shepherd go back for? In the parable of the lost sheep, how many sheep did the shepherd go back for? A1, B2, C3, or D4? Who gonna take off down the court? And there goes our First Lady, takes off down the court right away, and she says it was 1. She goes between her legs and behind her back and around and spins with 1. We're gonna let her go with 1, or does somebody see something different? And here comes Sister. She passes to Sister Alice, and Sister Alice heads on down the court, and she passes to Brother Noah. He said just 1, and he passes it back to Sister Alice. That's just seconds tick on the clock. Is this a slam dunk with just 1? Are we all in agreement? It was just 1. Is this a slam? Let's check it out. That is correct. It was just one. Way to slam it on that one. Way to start off slamming. All right. Let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. The next question says, when Jesus' face shone like the sun and his clothes became white as light, it was called what? A, the resurrection. B, transfiguration. C, rapture. D, transformation. What was it called when Jesus' face shone like the sun and his clothes was white as the light on that mountain? All right, what was it called? As we get ready to head down the court, who gonna take off down the court first on this one here? Was it the resurrection? Or what? Good evening, Pastor White. God bless you this evening. And Pastor White takes off down the court and said it was the transfiguration. He passes it to the first lady, who go between her leg and passes it back to the pastor. Down the court they go with transfiguration. He passes it back to the first lady. Down the court they go back and forth between the first lady and the pastor. They are determined with transfiguration. And my brother Noah said it was the transfiguration also. Down the court, Noah goes with transfiguration. He passes it back to the pastor. The pastor goes between his legs and he passes it to the bishop. Good evening, Bishop Granberry. And the bishop heads down the court and passes it back to the pastor. Is this a slam dunk with transfiguration? Is this a slam dunk with transfiguration? Is that correct? That is correct. Way to slam it on that one there. All right. That's a flying 360 slam. Let's get ready to head on down the court with the next question. He says, the name of the tax collector that climbed a tree to see Jesus. What was his name? Who gonna head down the court first with this one here? The name of the tax collector was A, John, B, Matthew, C, Zacchaeus, D, Nahum. Who gonna head down the court on this one here? Our questions today is gonna be all about Jesus. So we want you to warm up and get your skills about Jesus ready as the first lady takes off down the court with Zacchaeus. She go between her legs and behind her back and passes it down the court with Zacchaeus, and she passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice heads down the court and passes it to the pastor. The pastor heads down the court and got it stolen by the bishop. The bishop said it was John. Down the court the other way the bishop goes. He's moving fast, but here come the pastor with his quick hands and steals it from the bishop and passes it right away to Sister Alice. And Sister Alice passes it to Brother Noah. Down the court, Brother Noah goes and he passes it to the first lady, who passes it back to the pastor. They are determined to not to let the bishop get this one back. And the pastor goes between his legs as he had down the court with Zacchaeus. Is that correct, Zacchaeus? He passed it back to the first lady, who passed it to Sister Carmen. Sister Carmen passed it back to the first lady. Is that correct? Is this a slam dunk with Zacchaeus? Let's check it out here. Is it a slam? That is correct. It is Zacchaeus. Way to slam it on that one there. Man, that's a good one there. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. Next question says, name the disciple who needed to feel the nail marks in Jesus' hands and feet before he would believe. Oh, y'all know this one here. What was the name of that disciple? What was the name of that disciple? Come on, y'all don't need no multiple choice on this one. The name of the disciple who said he needed to see his nails, his hand in his hands and in his feet before he believed. Come on, y'all, some tough players. I know y'all can handle this. Y'all know all about Jesus. And there go the first lady. She said it was Thomas. Down the court, the first lady goes with Thomas. Is she got to take it by herself, or anybody else in agreement with her? Or do somebody else think it was another disciple? What was the disciple who needed to see the nails in his hands and his feet? And here comes our homie, Sister Lisa Jones. God bless you this evening, Sister Lisa. And she says it was Thomas. And she passes it to the bishop, who passes it to Sister Alice. And down the court she goes and passes it to the pastor. The pastor passes it back to the first lady, who passes it back to the pastor, who passes it to Sister Alice Cummings? Is this a slam dunk? Who passes it back to the pastor? Down the court they go. Is this a slam dunk? And here Sister Glenzie Cummings comes in. Good evening to you, Sister Glenzie. God bless you. As she goes down the court and passes it back to the first lady, who passes it to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to the pastor. Is this a slam dunk? Let's check it out. That is correct. That is correct. It was Thomas. All right, let's get ready to head on down the court with the next question. Way to slam it on that one there. Man, y'all some pretty good players. All right, here comes our next question. As we head down the court, he says, 7 days before Easter is celebrated as what? What do they call the 7 days before Easter? All right, y'all know y'all celebrate that every year. 7 days before Easter, at least some of us do and some people don't. Whoever celebrates is okay with me. What do they call the 7 days before Easter is celebrated as what? What is the name that we get it? And who gonna head down the court? And that goes, the first lady said it is called Palm Sunday. Down the court, she go between her leg behind her back with Palm Sunday. Be careful with that ball. And she passes it to Sister Glenzie with Palm Sunday. But Pastor White said, no, it's the Passover. 7 days before Easter is called the Passover. Down the court, he goes with the Passover. But here comes Sister Alice, steals it from the pastor, and she passes it to Sister Glenzie with Palm Sunday, who passes it to the First Lady. And hello, Sister Carolyn Davenport. God bless you this evening. And she passes it down the court to Sister Glenzie, who passes it back to the First Lady. The pastor laughed about it. Okay, Pastor, you're a little ahead of yourself. It ain't here yet. All right, the 7 days before that. All right. And there comes Sister Glenzie, who passed it to the pastor. Pastor say, yeah, okay, I'm a little ahead of myself here. All right. And the pastor go between his leg and behind his back. Is this a slam dunk with Palm Sunday? Is this a slam dunk? First lady says slam it. Is this a slam? Is that a slam? Yes, that is correct. It is called the Palm Sunday. Way to slam it on that one there. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. The next question says, how many baskets of food were left over after Jesus fed 5,000? Was it A, 3, B, 7, C, 12, or D, 40? How many baskets of food were left over after Jesus fed the 5,000 and the First Lady takes off down the court right away with 12? Down the court she goes between her legs and behind her back with 12. Is she going to pass the ball? And she almost passed it to Pastor. Pastor White stole it with 13, which is not on the board. He going down the court with a foul with 13. But here come the First Lady, steals it back from the pastor. And now he gets with him. He passes it down the court to Sister Glenzie, who passes it back to the pastor, who passes to Sister Alice. Sister Alice head down the court and passes to Sister Glenzie Cummings. Down the court she goes and she passes it back to Sister Alice to the pastor. And the First Lady says slam it as she passes it to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie goes in for the slam. Down the court she goes and she passes it to Sister Carolyn. So Sister Carolyn heads down the court and passes it to the First Lady, down to Sister Alice, who passes it back to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie heads down the court and passes it to the pastor, who passes it back to Sister Glenzie, who passes it back to the pastor. And they said slam it. They said slam it. Is this a slam? Is this a slam with 12? That is correct. It was 12. Way to slam it on that one there. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. It was 12. That is correct, Sister Carolyn. All right, next question said, how was John the Baptist killed? How was he killed? A, beheaded. B, hung. C, on a cross. Or D, he was stoned. How was John the Baptist killed? We're going to head down the court on this one here. And now the First Lady takes off down the court and said he was beheaded. And she passes it right away to the pastor. And the pastor head down the court and passes it back to the First Lady. back down the court. She go and pass it to the pastor as they head down the court, and they passes it to Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa Jones heads down the court and passes it back to the pastor, who passes back to the first lady, back to the pastor as they head down the court. And they pass it to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie heads down the court and passes it to Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn passes it to the pastor and down the court, and she goes and she passes it back to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie heads down the court, doubling between her leg behind her back, and passes it back to the pastor, who passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice heads down the court quickly, and she goes between her legs and behind her back. Is this a slam dunk as she goes down the court? Is this a slam dunk with beheaded? Is that correct? That is correct. John the Baptist was beheaded. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. Next question says, how many days was Jesus tempted in the wilderness? A, 20, B, 30, C, 40, D, 50. How many days was Jesus tempted in the wilderness? And that was a slam on that last one. And there go Pastor White, takes off down the court quickly with 40. Down the court he goes between his leg and behind his back with 40, and he passes it to the first lady, who passes it to Sister Glenzie, back to the first lady, to Sister Alice. Sister Alice passes it to Sister Lisa Jones. Sister Lisa passes it to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn passes it back to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Alice. Down the court she goes and she passes it back to Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn heads down the court, going in at the second tick on the clock. She goes between her legs. Down the court she goes. Is this a slam dunk with 40? Is this a slam with 40? Does somebody see something different? Is this a slam? That is correct. It was 40. Way to slam it on that one now. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. Next question says, name the man who was forced to help Jesus carry the cross. All right, this is a tough one here. Was his name A, Joseph, B, Simon, C, Philip, D, James? What was the name of the man who was forced to help Jesus carry the cross? What was his name? Joseph, Simon, Philip, or James? Who gonna head down the court? And there go Pastor White, takes off down the court with Simon. He go between his leg and behind his back with Simon, and he passes it to the first lady, who go between her legs and pass it back to the pastor. And they go back and forth down the court. Is this a slam? And here comes Sister Glenzie, comes in. She gets in with it, and she passes between her legs and behind her back and passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice passes it to Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn go between her leg behind her back and pass it back to Sister Glenzie, who takes off down the court and passes it to Sister Alice, who passes it back to Sister Glenzie as she go down the court. And Sister Glenzie passes it back to Sister Carolyn, who passes it to Pastor White. Down the court they go. Is this a slam? They say it's slam it. Is this a slam? As Sister Carolyn comes back in for the slam and she passes it back to the pastor. Is this a slam dunk? Is this a slam dunk with Simon? That is correct. It is Simon. Way to slam it on that one there. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. Next question says, of the 10 men with leprosy that Jesus healed, how many came back? How many came back? A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 4? Jesus healed 10 lepers. How many came back? Who gonna take off down the court? And there go first lady, said 1, and she passed it to the pastor. Back down the court they go back and forth between the first lady and the pastor with 1, and the first lady passes it to Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa passes it to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Carolyn. So he takes off down the court, down back and forth. They go down the court with Sister Carolyn, back to Sister Alice, to Sister Glenzie. Down the court, they going back and forth, and they pass it to the pastor, back to Sister Glenzie, who pass it to Sister Carolyn, back to the pastor, who pass it to Sister Alice. Down the court they go, and they pass it back to Sister Carolyn, who passes it back to the pastor. Is this a slam dunk with one? The pastor passes it back to Sister Carolyn. She is determined. Is this correct with one? Is it correct? That is correct. Slam dunk on that one there. And that ends our first half. That brings our first half to an end. Let's take a water break and a quick break as we get ready for our second half. Take your quick water break as we get ready for our second half. This still going to be all about Jesus today. Today is all about Jesus. So get ready for our second half as we get ready for some more questions all about Jesus. And this second half is going to be fill in the blank concerning Jesus. It's going to be fill in the blank. So get ready as we get ready to pull up our questions for this second half. It's going to be fill in the blank. So be careful and pay attention as I read it off. It's going to be fill in the blank this time concerning Jesus. All right. All right. So here comes our first question for our second half. Let's go. Here comes our question. Fill in the blank. The thief cometh not but for to blank and to kill and destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it abundantly. Who gonna take off down the court on this and here? The thief come to do what? A, disbelieve, B, steal, C, corrupt, D, convert. What he come to do? What he come to do? Who gonna take off down the court on this one here? What does the thief come for? And there go the first lady say he come to steal. And she passes it to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn passes it back to Sister Glenzie. Down the court she go between her legs and behind her back, and she passed and got it stolen. She got it stolen by Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa said disbelieve. Down the court she goes the other way with disbelieve. Is she gonna slam it? But all of a sudden here come the first lady, steals it from her and passes it to Sister Glenzie, who passed it back to the first lady, who passed it to Sister Carolyn, and she passes it to Sister Alice. Down the court Sister Alice goes and she passes to Sister Glenzie back to Sister Carolyn, who passed to Sister Alice back to Sister Glenzie. Down the court they go back and forth to the first lady, to Sister Carolyn. They said it is still, and she passed it to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie passed it back to the first lady, who passed it to Sister Carolyn back to the first lady. And now Sister Lisa gets with them. Sister Lisa gets with them and said it is to steal. And she passes it to the pastor, to Sister Carolyn, down the court back to Sister Carolyn, to Sister Glenzie, who passed to Sister Alice, who passed it back to Sister Carolyn, who go between her legs and passes it to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie heads on down the court and passes it back to Sister Carolyn, who go between her legs and behind her back. She is determined. They said slam it. Is this a slam? As Sister Alice comes in, is this a slam? That is correct. He ain't come to do nothing but steal and kill and destroy. Way to slam it on that one there. All right, let's head on down the court with our next question. He said, if a woman shall put away her husband and be married to another, she committed what? What did Jesus say? She committed A, fraud, B, sin, C, hate, or D, adultery. Who's going to take off down the court first on this one here? All right, now go the first lady, takes off down the court, said she committed adultery. She go between her legs and behind her back with adultery. Thus, everybody in agreement with adultery, and she passes it to Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn passes it to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa passes it down the court to Sister Carolyn, who passes it back to Sister Glenzie. Down the court they're going. They are determined with adultery, and she passes it back to Sister Carolyn, who heads off down the court and passes it back to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice heads on down the court. They say slam it. And here comes Sister Carolyn in for the slam. She passed it back to Sister Alice, who passes it back to Sister Carolyn. Is this a slam dunk? Is this a slam dunk with adultery? Is it a slam dunk with adultery? Let's check it out. That is correct. As Sister Alice comes in for the slam. All right, way to slam it on that one. Let's get ready to head on down the court with our next question. It says, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the blank of God. Come on, y'all remember this one here. Is it in the midst of the power of God? A, B, paradise. C, will of God. D, realm of God. Where is that tree of life at? Who gonna take off down the court on this one here? Is that tree in the midst of the power, paradise, will, or realm of God? All right, they're a little strong on this one here. Come on, take that ball out, and there goes Sister Glenn's. It says it's in the midst of the paradise. She takes off down the court with paradise. Is this a slam with paradise? And she goes all by herself. She's all by herself. Nobody down there with her. That she had to slam it by herself. She is determined, and she takes off down the court with paradise. That tree is in the midst of the paradise, and she passes it to the first lady. And the first lady takes off down the court and passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice heads on down the court and passes it back to the first lady. As they head down the court, she passes it back to Sister Glenzie. And Sister Glenzie heads on down the court, and she passes it between her legs and behind her back. Down the court she goes. Down the court she goes with paradise. And she goes and passes it back to the first lady. Back to Sister Glenzie. Back and forth, they go back and forth between the first lady and Sister Glenzie. Is this a slam dunk with paradise? Is this a slam dunk? Because Sister Alice said A or D. I don't know if she's saying D or A or but down the court we going with paradise. Maybe she meant to say B. She meant to say paradise. Is this a slam dunk with paradise? Let's check it out. Is this a slam dunk with paradise? That is correct. That's a slam dunk with paradise. Way to slam it on that one there. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. It says, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one blank. So then they are no more twain, but one blank. Who gonna take off down the court on this one here? We didn't have many people join in on that last one, but here we go with this one here. They twain shall be what? One life, A, B, order, C, family, D, flesh. And there go the first lady, takes off down the court with flesh, and she passes it to Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa takes off down the court and passes it back to the first lady, who passes to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie go between her legs and behind her back and passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice heads down the court and passes it back to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Carolyn. Sister Carolyn passes it back to Sister Glenzie, who go between her leg and behind her back. She is determined with flesh. They twain shall become one flesh, and she passes it back to Sister Carolyn. They said slam it. They said slam it. And here comes Sister Alice in for the slam, and she passes it to Sister Carolyn, who passes it back to Sister Alice. Is this a slam? That is correct. One flesh. They two shall be one flesh. Way to slam it on them. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. Next question says, put up again thy sword into his place, for all that they that take the sword shall blank with the sword. Shall what with the sword? A, perish. B, protect. C, worship. Or D, live. What is the answer to this one here? All that take up the sword shall what with the sword? Who takes off down the court? And there goes Sister Glenzie, takes off right away, say they shall perish. And she passes it to the first lady, who go between her leg behind her back with perish. And she passes it back to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to the first lady. And the first lady passes to Sister Carolyn, who passes it back to Pastor White, who's back with us. Down the court he goes, and he passes it to Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa passes it back to the pastor, who passes it to Sister Carolyn, back, and she passes it to Sister Glenzie, back to the pastor, Sister Glenzie, who passes it back to Sister Carolyn, back to the pastor, back to Sister Carolyn, who passes it to Sister Alice. Down the court, Sister Alice goes and passes it back to Sister Carolyn. She doubles between her legs, behind her back, and passes it back to the pastor. The pastor heads down the court. Is this a slam dunk? And who passes to Sister Carolyn, back to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie passes it back to Sister Carolyn. Down the court, Sister Carolyn doubles between her leg and behind her back. Is this a slam? And she passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice passes it back to Sister Carolyn. And so the First Lady said slamming. As Sister Carolyn doubles between her legs and behind her back, she's really going with that ball. Is this a slam dunk with Parrish? All that take up the sword shall Parrish. That is correct. Way to slam it on that one now. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with the next question. He says, either make the tree good and its fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and its fruit corrupt. For the tree is blank by his fruit. The tree is what by his fruit? A, living, B, forgiven, C, known, or D, standing. Who gonna take off down the court on this one here? And that go the First Lady, say it is known by its fruit. She go between her legs and behind her back and passes it to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie passes it back to the First Lady, who passes it to the pastor. Pastor passes it back to Sister Glenzie, who go between her legs and behind her back, and she passes it back to Sister Carolyn, who passes it to Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa takes off down the court and passes, and they said slamming. She passes it back to Sister Carolyn, who passes it to the pastor. The pastor, they said slamming, and he passes it to Sister Glenzie. Again, she says slamming, and here comes Sister Carolyn in for the slamming. She passes to Sister Glenzie, back to Sister Carolyn. They are going back and forth, and there come the pastor back in, who passed to Sister Carolyn, back to Sister Glenzie. They going back and forth down the court between Sister Carolyn and the pastor and Sister Glenzie. They said slamming. Is this a slam dunk on this one here? Sister Carolyn go between the legs behind the back. She is determined with C, and she passes it to Sister Alice. Is this a slam? That is correct. That is correct. Way to slam it on that one there. Flying 360 slam. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question. He said, verily, verily, I say unto you, except a man be born of blank and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. Except a man be born of A, faith, B, Christ, C, water, or D, earth. Who gonna take off down the court first on this one here? Except a man be born of what? Who's going to take off down the court? And there goes Sister Glenzie saying of water. Except a man be born of water, he cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Down the court she goes between her legs, and she passes it to Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa takes off down the court and passes it back to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie takes off down the court and passes it to First Lady. First Lady passes it to Sister Alice, back to the First Lady, who takes off down the court and passes it to Sister Glenzie. She passes it back to Sister Alice, who passes it to the pastor. Down the court, the pastor goes with the ball. Is this a slam dunk with water? Except water. They said slamming. And the pastor comes back in with water. Down the court he goes, and they said slamming. They said slamming. Is that correct with water? That is correct, except he be born of water. And Sister Alice got in at the last second for that slam. All right. Way to slam it on that. Let's head on down the court with our next question. Said, if thy hand blank thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched. If thy hand blank thee, cut it off. A, impair, B, hurt, C, haunt, D, offend. Who gonna take off down the court on this one here? And there goes Sister Carolyn, takes off down the court, said, if your hand offend you. And she takes off down the court Down the court she goes with a fan. Pastor White passes to back to Sister Carolyn, back to Pastor White to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie back to the pastor. Pastor back to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to Sister Lisa. Down the court she goes and she passes it back to the pastor, who passes it to Sister Carolyn. Down the court she passes it to Sister Glenzie, who passes it to the First Lady. First Lady passes it back to Sister Carolyn, who passes it to the pastor, who passes it to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie passes it back to the pastor, to Sister Carolyn. Down the court, she passes it to the pastor, back to Sister Carolyn, who passes it to Sister Glenzie. Back to Sister Carolyn, to Sister Glenzie. They going back and forth down the court between Sister Carolyn and Sister Glenzie, and they said slam it. Down the court she going. They said slam it. Is this a slam dunk? Is this a slam dunk as they head down the court? She is determined. Is somebody going to steal it or from? They said slam it. Is this a slam dunk with a fan? That is correct. That is correct. A fan. Way to slam it on that one now. All right, let's head on down the court with our next question. Next question says, take my yoke upon you and blank of me. For I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto yourself. Take my yoke upon you and blank. A, pray. B, learn. C, listen. D, yearn. Who gonna take off down the court first on that? And that go to First Lady said learn. Down the court she goes and she passes to Sister Glenzie. And Sister Glenzie heads down the court and passes it to the pastor. Down the court he passes it back to the First Lady, who passes it back to the pastor, to the First Lady, who passes it Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa takes off down the court and passes it back to the pastor, back to the First Lady. Down the court they going with learn. Down the court they going with learn, and she passes it to Sister Glenzie. Sister Glenzie takes off down the court and passes it back to the pastor. The pastor takes off down the court and passes it back to Sister Glenzie. They said slam it. Is this a slam dunk? Back to the First Lady. She passes it back to Sister Glenzie. Again, they said slam, and Sister Glenzie is coming in for the slam back to the First Lady. They said slam, and here comes Sister Alice in for the slam. She passes it to the pastor, back to Sister Glenzie, back to Sister Alice, to Sister Glenzie. Is this a slam dunk with learn? That is correct. Take up on my yoke and learn of me. Way to slam it on that one there. All right, let's get ready to head down the court with our next question, which says, no one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. Otherwise, the blank piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. The what piece? A, new. B, ripped. C, missing. D, old. Who gonna take off down the court first on this one here? Which piece gonna turn away? Is it the new, ripped, old? And down the court, Sister Glenzie said the new piece would tear away. Down the court she goes with new. She took off by herself, and she passes it to the pastor. Down the court, the pastor goes with new. Is this a slam dunk with new? And they passes it. The pastor passes Sister Lisa. Sister Lisa takes off quickly down the court, and she passes it back to the pastor, who passes it Sister Glenzie. Down the court, Sister Glenzie goes between her leg and behind her back and passes it to the First Lady, who passes it to Sister Alice. Down the court, Sister Alice goes with new, and she goes between her legs. She is determined, and she passes it to Sister Glenzie. Down the court, Sister Glenzie goes between her leg and behind her back, and she passes it back to the pastor. Down the court, they're going with new. And the pastor passes it to Sister Alice. Sister Alice passes it to the First Lady, and she says slam it. And then they passes it to pastor, and the pastor, they said slam it. Down the court, the pastor going in for the slam. Is that correct? Is that a correct? Is it the new? Is it the new? That is correct. It is the new. Way to slam it on that one, and that brings our Bible basketball to a close. Way to slam it on that one there. Good game, everyone. We'd like to thank you all for coming. Little Bible to you all. Coming in and playing Bible basketball. We had a great time as we learned a lot about Jesus. Great game, everyone. Like to thank you all. Thank you to my beautiful wife. God bless you, our First Lady, for joining in tonight. Thank you to our Associate Pastor, Pastor White, for joining in this evening. Great game, Pastor. Thank you, Sister Alice Commons, for joining in this evening. God bless you, Sister Alice. And Sister Glenzie Commons, God bless you, Sister Glenzie, for joining in with us this evening. Sister Lisa Jones, God bless you, Sister Lisa Jones, my brother's classmate. Thank you for joining in with us this evening. God bless you, my sister. And Sister Carolyn Davenport, God bless you, Sister Carolyn, for joining in with us this evening. Thank you for being a part of our Bible basketball. God bless you, Sister Carolyn. And I believe Bishop Granberry was with us earlier. And so we like to thank Bishop Granberry for joining in. He was a part earlier. So we like to thank the bishop for stopping by earlier. Thank you to you all. And if I miss anybody, charge it to my eyes and not my heart. Thank you to you all for joining in and being a part of this Bible basketball. Remember to trust the process and keep God first. No matter what you're going through, trust the process and keep God first. Thank you to you all. Thank you, Sister Alice. Yes, I had a great time with you too. Thank you, my sister. Thank you, sister. Enjoyed you too, and everyone. Have a blessed night. Remember to trust the process and keep God first. It's all about Jesus and not about us. Thank you all.